Ever booked a one-way ticket to nowhere? No? Just me then. Welcome to Explore Vortex. Today we will talk about the isolation of cities. Well, some folks live in nowhere on purpose. Cities so isolated, they make Siberia look like Times Square. And trust me, their secrets are way more interesting than your uncle's Facebook rants. Think unique cultures, bizarre traditions, landscapes straight out of National Geographic, but with less khaki. We're talking cities where the commute might involve a yak, the internet is dial-up slow, and the pizza delivery guy. Yeah, you the pizza delivery guy. So buckle up, butter your crumpets. We're diving into the world's most isolated cities. Spoiler alert, they're not just geographically isolated, they're isolated from common sense.
Perth, Western Australia, sunshine, beaches, kangaroos with anger management issues. Paradise, right? Sure, if you like your paradise with a side of we're so far from everyone else, we invented our own slang. Perth's nickname, the most isolated city in the world. Closest major city, Adelaide. Problem is, Adelaide's 1,300 miles away. That's like driving from New York to still New York, but with more corn. But isolation breeds resilience? Perth's residents are a special breed. They think nothing of hopping on a 4-hour flight for a weekend getaway. And their laid-back attitude, it's not just the sunshine, it's the knowledge that if the zombie apocalypse hits, they'll be the last to know. And honestly, probably the last to care.
Aloha! Welcome to Honolulu, Hawaii, land of pineapples, surfing, and the world's most geographically isolated major city. Seriously, we're talking 2,500 miles from the mainland. That's more ocean than Aquaman's bathtub. But hey, who needs neighbors when you've got volcanic sunsets, beaches that could grace a postcard, and enough lays to make a florist weep? Honolulu's isolation has created a culture as unique as its floral shirts. It's a melting pot of Polynesian traditions, American influences, and a healthy dose of island time. Where else can you learn to hula dance, eat spam sushi, and say mahalo without feeling like a complete dork?
Hold on to your hats, folks. We're going north, way north, to Nuuk, Greenland, the world's northernmost capital city. It's closer to the North Pole than it is to, well, pretty much anything else. This is a city where winter lasts 8 months. The northern lights are your nightlight, and the national dish is whale blubber. Don't knock it till you've tried it. Actually, maybe just stick to the fish tacos. Nuuk's isolation is the stuff of legend. Icebergs, fjords, the occasional polar bear popping in for a cup of sugar. It's basically frozen, but with less singing and more seal hunting. But don't let the cold fool you. Beneath the icy exterior lies a warm and welcoming culture. Think Scandinavian hygge, but with more reindeer sweaters.
Section 5. Iquitos, Peru, where the Amazon flows. Accessible only by boat or plane. Welcome to Iquitos, Peru, the largest city in the world, unreachable by road. You heard that right. No roads, zip, nada. Getting there involves a flight over the Amazon or a leisurely boat ride down the river. And by leisurely, I mean hope you brought enough bug spray for a small rainforest. But hey, who needs asphalt when you've got the Amazon rainforest as your backyard? We're talking biodiversity that would make Darwin drool, sunsets that would shame a painter's palette, and enough humidity to make a swamp monster feel right at home. Iquitos is a city where the jungle meets the river, where ancient traditions collide with modern life, and where the sound of the howler monkey is your morning alarm clock. Just remember to pack your sense of adventure, and maybe a machete.
Section 6. Lanada, Peru, the highest city in the world, isolated by altitude and harsh conditions. Next stop, Lanada, Peru. Ever wondered what it'd be like to live on top of the world? No? Well, the folks in Lanada don't have a choice. Perched at a dizzying 16,700 feet above sea level, it's the highest permanent settlement on Earth. And let me tell you, the air up there isn't just thin, it's practically non-existent. It's the kind of place where a brisk walk could leave you gasping for oxygen, and a cup of coffee feels like a triple espresso. So why live there? Gold, baby. Lanada sits atop a gold mine, attracting miners and dreamers willing to brave the altitude, the cold, and the, shall we say, rustic living conditions. It's a city where the streets are paved with mud and ice, the houses are made of corrugated metal, and the views, well, they're breathtaking, literally.
Section 7. Barrow, Alaska, life on the edge of the Arctic Circle, a city of extremes and isolation. Pack your parka and a year's supply of vitamin D, because we're headed to Barrow, Alaska, the northernmost city in the United States. Located above the Arctic Circle, it's a land of extremes. We're talking 65 days of continuous darkness in winter, followed by 80 days of perpetual sunlight in summer. It's enough to make you question your sanity, your sleep schedule, and maybe even your grasp on reality. Barrow is as isolated as it gets. No roads connected to the outside world, so you're looking at a flight or a very, very long boat ride. But hey, at least you won't have to worry about traffic, unless you count the occasional herd of caribou. Life in Barrow is not for the faint of heart. But for those who call it home, it's a place of stark beauty, resilient people, and a connection to nature that runs deeper than the permafrost.
Section 8, Easter Island, Chile, home to the Moai isolated by the vastness of the Pacific Ocean. Easter Island, Chile, land of the enigmatic Moai statues, ancient mysteries, and a level of isolation that would make a hermit say, "Dude, that's a bit much, even for me." Located 2,300 miles from the coast of Chile, Easter Island is one of the most remote inhabited islands on Earth. It's like someone dropped a giant puzzle box in the middle of the Pacific and said, "Figure it out, humans, and the Moai." Don't even get me started. These giant stone heads carved by the island's early inhabitants are shrouded in mystery. How were they moved? What do they represent? And are they judging us? Spoiler alert, probably yes. Easter Island is a place where the past and the present collide, where the forces of nature are on full display, and where the feeling of isolation is as palpable as the ocean breeze.
Section 9, Longyearbyen, Svalbard, the gateway to the Arctic, a city of polar bears and midnight sun. Next up, Longyearbyen, Svalbard, the world's northernmost town with a sizable permanent population. Forget Game of Thrones, this place is closer to the White Walkers than you'd like to think. Located in the Norwegian archipelago of Svalbard, Longyearbyen is a place where polar bears outnumber people. The northern lights dance across the winter sky, and you can ski to work, even in June. Just watch out for those polar bears, they're not big on small talk. Living in Longyearbyen is like living in a postcard, if postcards came with mandatory polar bear safety briefings. It's a city where the sun doesn't set for 4 months in summer and doesn't rise for 4 months in winter. Talk about a messed up sleep schedule.
Section 10, Supai, Arizona, reachable only by mule or helicopter. A remote village in the Grand Canyon. Hold on to your hats because we're going deep into the Grand Canyon to visit Supai, Arizona, the most remote village in the contiguous United States. Forget roads, forget cars, heck, forget Uber. The only way to reach Supai is by helicopter or by mule. Yes, you heard that right, mule. Nestled at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, Supai is home to the Havasupai people who have lived in this remote oasis for centuries. It's a place of towering sandstone cliffs, cascading waterfalls, and a serene beauty that makes you forget that you just spent the last hour clinging to a mule for dear life. Supai is a reminder that even in the most connected age, there are still places where time seems to stand still, where the rhythms of nature dictate the pace of life, and where the greatest luxury is the sound of silence. Just don't forget to pack extra underwear, just in case that mule ride gets a little bumpy.
Section 11. Conclusion. Embrace the unknown. Discover the secrets of isolated cities. So, there you have it. A whirlwind tour of some of the world's most isolated cities. From the frozen wastelands of the Arctic to the steamy jungles of the Amazon. These cities remind us that there's a whole world out there just waiting to be explored. Sure, they might be a little off the beaten path, a little out of the ordinary, and maybe even a little bit crazy. But that's where the magic happens, folks. In the places where the Wi-Fi is weak, the traditions are strong, and the stories are even stranger. So what are you waiting for? Book that flight, pack that bug spray, and get ready to embrace the unknown. Just don't blame me if you end up riding a yak to work. For more stories about the world's most fascinating and unusual places, subscribe to our newsletter. We promise it's less painful than a mule ride.